Okay, I'm making this video for Dad and anybody else who wants to see this. This guy describes some demons that he saw in hell that were in a cloak. They had a cloak on them, in like a hood and a cloak. And there's going to be another video that I'm going to show you that has creatures in cloaks. So here we go. We're going to do this really quick. I'm going to go like this and go like that.
Care if it was hitting nails or smashing my fingers, and it was just going back and forth, and its head was back like this, and it was cackling like this wild, insane cackling noise, just hitting like this. And suddenly I could feel the pain again, and I began screaming again. It felt like lightning bolts were going up and down my arms. I have no idea. You're so desperate. You're so desperate. I remembered I looked to the demon at my left, and I was about to beg it for mercy, even though I knew it was a complete waste. But it was all I could do is just beg it for some kind of mercy. And when I saw it, I suddenly saw it in its full manifestation. It was no longer a black shadow, and it was absolutely horrible. It was just the most horrible entity I've ever seen. Um, the best I could is I've had, because I'm an artist, right? I write music, I draw. If it's artsy, I do it. I've had people like, could you draw it? I'm like, I could, but I don't want to. I don't want to entertain them at all. But it looked like part man, part wolf, part bear, and part pig or hog. If you took all of those and mashed it into an entity, its skin was just rotting and disgusting yellow, and its teeth were just razor sharp. They were all crooked and nasty, but razor sharp. And then its eyes were like a lizard, but they were blood red, blood red. And it had a black cloak on too. And as I'm screaming and I'm looking at it with eyes just, trying to beg for mercy, when I started screaming again, I saw the demon's head go back and its eyes became euphoric.
Hmm.
I could tell it was high on my pain.
Okay, so he talked about a cloak. It was wearing a cloak and it had just an ugly creature. Okay, so let's see here. Okay. Okay, so here's the video of this guy who is going to tell us about his heavenly experience, which it's not heavenly. It's a false presentation of heaven, which he is experiencing in hell, believe it or not. Brian Melvin talks about this. He saw people in hell experiencing heavenly realm, which was a counterfeit of heaven, because Satan counterfeits everything. He will trick people who are in hell, making them think they're in heaven, especially if they're going to, so that when they come back to life with these near-death experiences, they're going to give a false, they're going to give what they experienced, but what they experienced is false. It's not true. So let's see here. Let's see if this is where we need to be.
Three short little hooded guys, and they looked exactly like those beings in the movie Communion.
Okay, so this guy has a near-death experience of short little guys in hoods, cloaks, kind of like the video we just saw with a guy who was in hell, who was surrounded, being tortured by these little dudes who have cloaks, who are gross looking. Now these demons, if they look like snakes, like an alien, then that is a demon. You don't see this stuff in heaven. It just is, it's wrong. Okay, we'll keep going.
The guys I saw, they were in front of me. They had big smiles on their face, and they had these dark hoods and squatty little bodies. And one woman wrote to me, and she said, I was taken by these many times as a kid. And she goes, I called them the Warthog Men. The Warthog Men have come and taken me. And she said, when I saw that movie Communion, I dropped my popcorn. And says that they looked exactly like that. And I've gotten a number of emails from people saying, thank you for doing this because I thought it was just mine. So anyway, yeah, they look kind of, I don't know, creepy is the right word, but they look different. But for me, they were sweethearts.
They look creepy. I'm sorry, but heaven does not have anything that looks creepy. God wouldn't do that. He did. That's why he kicked Satan out of there, because Satan is creepy. This guy had this is so bad. But this is my point. My dad, you had a dream many years ago of aliens running after you, like in a Roman Empire or something. You were dressed up like a Roman, and they were running after you. Aliens, gray aliens, and you were scared to death. Let that sink in for a minute. Okay? Those are demons. Okay, here we go.
And they were saying things like, how was it? What did you learn? What can you tell us? And
Okay.
I was extremely.
How was it? What did you learn? What can you tell us? Okay. If God is all-knowing, he doesn't need little retard, I'm sorry for that word, but they're so slow in their thinking. Dad, my dad, you say that our purpose on earth is to bring our experiences to God, because we don't have any connection with him at all. We have to die and bring our experiences to him, which is completely, it's just, how can you do that? We're so sick and disgusting as a people. Oh, we're going to bring our entire life of corruption as our experience. Oh, thank you. Yes, I really like that. No, God forgives and forgets. He already knows everything we do. He wipes away our tears. No. These little dudes, oh, what did you learn? Oh, uh-huh. Yeah, really? I don't think so. These are demons. Okay.
Confused. All of a sudden, I was in this place with these beings from a cartoon, basically. And one of them stepped forward and he took a long look at me, and then he turned to the other two and he said, he doesn't remember us. And they all started giggling. And I was like, well, guys, I'm having a little trouble. All of a sudden, things are very strange from my perspective, and I kind of remember you, but give me a little time. And they were giggling and bouncing around, and they were wonderful. And then there was this other guy, and he was sort of in charge. He was kind of in the background. He came forward, and he was this tall, wispy guy, and he had this incredible ecstatic smile. His eyes were open, his eyebrows were up, and he had this wonderful smile and laugh. And he was obviously in charge, but he was the best boss anybody could ever have. He wasn't.
Okay, we all know who that is. That's Satan, or a demon, pretending to be Jesus, I assume. That's probably what because he does the counterfeit. Okay?
Very strict at all. When he came forward towards me, my throat just tightened and my chest expanded. And I thought I was going to break down in uncontrollable crying from love. There was so much love pouring from this being that it was overwhelming. It was paralyzing. And I just loved it.
So, paralyzing. Interesting. Paralyzing. See, this is what demons do. They will paralyze you. They will constrict your vocal cords. Okay? That is the fear that this man is feeling, but he thinks it's love because they're putting a cherry on top of this shit cake that they're feeding him. He thinks it's love because Satan once was part of heaven, and he knows what love is, and he can manipulate it and make you think that's what you're feeling. Even at a not at the degree that God gives, that you feel God's love at all, but it's so much more. He knows what the heavenly love is like, so he can counterfeit it, but not to the point of where it's just like God's love at all. But this is a counterfeit. Okay.
I loved those guys. He was cool. There was some back and forth stuff. And every time I said something, he had this chuckle. I could feel it inside of me. He had this laugh. I got the impression that, you know, looking at it from a third person, that was a relationship between a father and a child. And he loved me unconditionally. And at one point I said, I'm not going back there. No way, no how, ever. So I guess I got to move on from this place eventually. And so, you know, what's next? A review of my life? Would you guys like to get started with that? And he just loved that. He just cracked up like I was a little toddler trying to take over. And he said, sure, let's do that. How do you want to start? So I started talking, and I was telling stories of
The review of your life. You know, when people go to heaven, what's the point of reviewing your life when you have all this new stuff you can learn about in heaven that's you've never known before? It's like, no, that's wrong. When you go to hell, that is where your review is, and you look at your sin over and over and over again for eternity. The worst sins you ever did, you relive them, as in reviewing them constantly. So this guy is experiencing hell, I'm sorry to tell you. But what kind of I mean, I'm so glad I found this video, because little creepy demons in cloaks and, oh, like that's heavenly? No. Okay, I think we're done with this video. Is there any more? Let's see.
About jobs that I wish I'd taken. You know, my wife and I got this offer for this job on an island off the coast, and we were going to live on this island by ourselves and take care of the wildlife. And it was really super remote. It was like an hour helicopter ride off the coast. And she wanted that. That was right up her alley. And I took a fire job. I still wanted excitement. But I wish I'd done that for her, because she's never asked for anything, but she did want that. So yeah, I talked a little bit about that and a few other things, and nobody was listening. They didn't care. It was obvious that I was brought in there for a quick show and tell, and I wasn't staying. It wasn't the end of my life, and I was the only one in the room that didn't know that. And at one point he said, okay, that's enough. He stepped forward like a father and said, time to go back. And that just floored me. I was like, what? Go back? I'm not going back there. There's no way. He says, yeah, you got to go back. You got things to do, and they're important. And the three little guys, it was like they were reassigned. They just disappeared. They went somewhere else.
You got to go back. You got things to do. They're important. Well, if people have near-death experiences and they actually do go to heaven and they have to go back, yeah, that's fine. But if he's going back and he's not preaching Jesus correctly, then this is completely false. I feel for the guy. The guy doesn't know Jesus. He didn't even say the name Jesus or God or anything. You know, when people have these hell experiences, they come back as born-again Christians. The true hell experiences. I heard one Catholic woman, she had a like half hell, half heaven experience, but she did not come back because she was in hell, but it was like a mix of things, and it was kind of weird for her, but she did not profess Christianity or anything. She was stuck in her Catholicism, and yeah, this is so bad. So that's that, and I guess I'll just end this video. Okay.